Lyn Mode is an 11-chapter prologue to Fire Emblem 7. It follows Lyn as she realizes who she is and defeats her evil great uncle. The gameplay of Lyn Mode is pretty simple, which makes a lot of sense because it's largely a tutorial for Western audiences. Fire Emblem 7 was the first game released outside of Japan. It explains things like the weapon triangle, unit recruitment, promotions, among other important Fire Emblem fundamentals. I can't speak for the effectiveness of this tutorial as I didn't start with Fire Emblem 7, I started a bit later with Fire Emblem 8, Fire Emblem 9. But I assume it does a pretty good job, especially for the GBA games. So I don't think new players to Fire Emblem 7, or of course to Fire Emblem in general, should skip right to Eliwood or Hector mode. This issue obviously already kind of fixes itself, because you literally can't skip Lyn mode until you complete it once. In fact, most people have little to no reason to skip Lyn mode at all. And there's nothing wrong with playing through it, obviously. Skipping Lyn mode really just makes the game harder. All the units that are trained on Lyn mode are available on Hector or Eliwood mode, and training them makes those modes a lot easier. You can even promote characters like Kent or Sane, essentially giving you another Marcus or another Jagan, which is really, really strong. But other than getting to chapter 19XX, which is the Gaiden of a Gaiden chapter, there's nothing exclusive to Lyn mode. You can't get to that chapter without doing Lyn mode because you have to train Nils to level 7. But the point is, skipping Lyn mode doesn't actually restrict you from basically any content in Fire Emblem 7. I personally skip Lyn mode on almost every single one of my Fire Emblem 7 playthroughs, and I want to explain why I do that. First, we'll go over why I started to skip it, and then we'll talk about why I still do it to this day. Alright, well, let's start with the origins of why I started skipping Lyn mode in the first place. For a long time, I saw no reason to skip Lyn mode and did it on every single playthrough of Fire Emblem 7 I did. But then I became fascinated with Hector hard mode, and I couldn't understand how someone could beat it without using things like save states and arena grinding. And when I discovered Iron Man's, I was completely blown away. For anyone that doesn't know, an Iron Man is when you don't reset chapters if units die, and if you encounter any game over condition, the playthrough is dead and you reset. Now, today I primarily Iron Man Fire Emblem games on the hardest difficulty, but at the time, I had to not only learn Hector hard mode, but also a lot of those fundamentals of Iron Manning Fire Emblem games. I bring all this up because Lyn mode is not particularly difficult to learn. The chapters are very easy, even on hard mode, which makes a lot of sense because again, it's a tutorial. Quick aside here, when I say learn, I mean experimenting with things like strategies of chapters and unit usage. I could get away with not thinking too much on Lyn mode, but the early game of Hector hard mode was very different. Because of this, it made a lot more sense to start with Hector hard mode and not Lyn mode, so when I inevitably failed, which happened quite a bit, I could immediately try again without having to slog through Lyn mode. There is a downside to this, of course, which is that the game gets easier if you do Lyn mode, because you can train units during that mode and they become stronger, which can help you out more quickly with your playthrough when you get to Hector mode. Still, this is how I learned the game, so skipping Lyn mode became normal for me. Okay, so we've talked about why I started skipping Lyn mode, but why do I continue to skip it? These days, most of my playthroughs go the distance, or at least very deep into the game, which fixes the problem that I had and the reason that I was initially skipping it, which was having to redo it over and over again as I failed the early game of Hector hard mode. Well, there's two main reasons that I still skip Lyn mode. The first is that Lyn mode is just not that interesting to play. I Iron Man Fire Emblem games because I like the challenge, and that doesn't really exist with Lyn mode. Now, I did recently play through Lyn mode because I was trying to kill Kashuna on chapter 19X and unlock chapter 19XX, which is a Gaiden chapter of a Gaiden chapter. And in order to unlock that, not only do you have to kill Kashuna, but you also have to get Nils to level 7 on Lyn mode. And honestly, I really enjoyed Lyn mode. I think it was just because I haven't done it for a while, and it was because I had this like larger plan with the playthrough, so it was all building to something. But it was actually pretty fun to play. The chapters were cool, if pretty simple. And I liked the story with the smaller cast, most of the people got to shine. But when I had to redo Lyn mode because Eliwood died, a lot of its charm had worn off. I don't think Lyn mode is really that conducive to Iron Manning Fire Emblem 7, which is a big part of why I skip it. The other reason I skip Lyn mode is because of how strong it can make certain units. Most units that are available on Lyn mode either show up in Hector hard mode a bit too weak if you skip Lyn mode, or much too strong if you train them. The Cavaliers are a great example, Kent and Sane. They can either come as level 10 plus Cavaliers, or even a promoted Paladin if you use Wallace's Knight's Crest, making them basically just better versions of Marcus in the early game, which is really, really powerful. Now again, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, as it really helps players, especially newer players, but it reduces the challenge of that early game of Hector hard mode, which is a huge part of why one might want to Iron Man it in the first place. This is not to say it makes it easy or uninteresting. I mentioned earlier having to restart Lyn mode because Eliwood died. That was with a promoted Kent and a level 10 plus Fleur in it that was really strong. So Iron Manning Fire Emblem games is challenging no matter what you do. I just prefer continuously skipping it. Alright, so we talked about why I initially started skipping Lyn Mode and the reasons that I continue to do it to this day. Now, I want to make something very clear at the end of this video, which is that I don't think that it's right or wrong to skip Lyn Mode. No matter what kind of playthrough you're doing, the correct decision in situations like this is always going to be the one that's more fun for you. I wanted to give my own perspective and explain why skipping Lyn Mode is more fun for me. And I think this video can still be valuable for people because if you haven't tried not skipping it or skipping it, you may not know if it's going to be more fun for you, and maybe somebody else's perspective can be valuable. And finally, I just want to thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, especially if you made it this far. I'd love to hear in the comments whether or not you do skip Lyn Mode and the reasons for either playing it or skipping it. And I will see you next time.